Welcome to my channel where I play games and make reviews. Sometimes. Today's game is going to be Elsword, a game released in 2007, the general area of my online gaming career, which started with Rumble Fighter. If you guys remember Rumble Fighter, write that down in the comments below. Rest in peace, that game. It's still alive, but it's not the greatest. Anyways, games had a completely different air around them at that time. Now that it's been nearly 2 decades since the release, how is the first hour of the game for a newcomer? Now, right off the bat, I'm going to give a disclaimer that the way I was leveling my character, while still in good faith of where the game's progression is pretty much shortcutting a lot of quests that would have you go through a regular map of the game without the need of mall items that the game is providing throughout this event. So keep that in mind. There is also a disclaimer that this is not my first time playing Elsword. This is honestly my 20th time opening this game to replay it, with my first overall experience being from a private server due to certain factors pushing me towards that direction. With a new look on MMOs and a positive mindset, how is the first hour of Elsword? The game starts you off by letting you pick between a plethora of characters, each with their own jobs. Physical means it's typically more geared towards PvP, while magical means it's more towards PvE. With this in mind, I was having a hard time deciding which character I wanted to try earnestly because a lot of my time previously was spent doing PvP exclusively. I don't have any clips of that, sadly. When Laby first released, I made a character around her before she was nerfed into the ground. My god, I still feel strongly about that. But now it seems that she has a new 4th job change that is more oriented towards PvE as well, so why not try this class? Keep in mind that at the time of making this video, there's a leveling event going on which allows for leveling in a more streamlined way without having you need to go out of your way in order to find the items and weapons needed to continue forward. Immediately, her movement is incredibly quick and snappy, allowing for a multitude of ways to go around the map without being limited to the actual platforms on screen. This is something to take note of since other characters don't have as much mobility as this character does. With games like these, however, I typically do not care for the story as much as some other folks would. So I do not have much to add in terms of what's going on with my character, what's going on in the world, and what's happening as my character levels up. I'm simply here for the action-packed gameplay and the flashing lights as all the enemies drop before my feet. The guide says to level to 15, so I do just that in a more than reasonable amount of time, giving me the feeling that levels in this game don't really matter much and are currently just a means to an end. They also gave me a class job level up, which I will say thanks for, simply because it saved me about 5 extra dungeon runs. I like running dungeons, but I am currently on a time crunch. The next objective the game gave me was to level to 35. Okay, no problem. They gave me a pet, which isn't exclusive to this event, which made my grind a bit easier. The pet picks up items off the floor without the need of you going back and wasting your valuable time in order to continue making ED, the currency of this game. Before, you'd be able to use your ED to purchase items off the board before level 99. This is no longer the case. Possibly because of the amount of newcomers who use all their ED in order to purchase something that wasn't necessary for the account and quit as a result. Also keep in mind, even after you hit level 99, you still have to wait 5 days before you're actually allowed to use the board. Regardless of why, that left me with pretty little to do in the face of the town I was dropped in as Laby, which is exclusive for her character as well. Which is why you'll see other Labbies and none of the original Elsword classes in the town with me. As I leveled to my first job change, the doors of what I was allowed to do opened up just a bit, allowing me to kill mobs of enemies without the need of me getting close and putting myself at risk. I find out later that some of her skills can be used in the air, allowing for more devastating attacks on the mobs who are in out of angle places. This allowed me to clear quickly and more efficiently, especially because as you're progressing the game is keeping up with your power in order to continue the flow and overall hyper pacing of the game. While leveling to 35, I had noticed that in one of the rewards they give you a free Ring of Fury, which allows for easier and more consistent awakenings per dungeon. It's time for 14 days, but this is important for clearing more difficult content in the future. You start the dungeon in Awakening and you also gain a 20% increase to your Awakening charge. That is no small percentage. You're objectively doing more damage while in Awakening, and you're also able to get back in it just as quickly as you left it. For example, while playing Elysis on her 4th job change, they gave her a Ring of Fury as well. Unlike Laby, she has 3 orbs to fill up, and you can awaken at any point once any of those orbs are filled up. Having all 3 plus the insignia lit up allows for greater damage bonus altogether. Well, after filling all 3 orbs plus the insignia, while in the same awakening I had just activated, before the dungeon was even over, I had already filled up my awakening gauges again to be used if I so wished. This is the difference between having a Ring of Fury and not having one. After hitting my 2nd job change, I was allowed even more freedom, with the next level up reward being at level 60, so for the rest of this video, that is exactly what I focused on, leveling Laby. And honestly, just look at how she's clearing. It's honestly absurd how much damage this class does in dungeons and how much territory on the screen she can take up. Even the ability to move as fast as she does allows for some interesting setups with the mob placements, allowing you to continue your onslaught as if you never stopped. She's a really fun character to play, and this class is honestly a really good pick if you're looking for some fast clears. There are other characters I've wanted to try over the years, but frankly, I've never been too excited to spend my money on more character slots. The game is fun, but I haven't had anything or anyone make me want to make that push to continue playing the game past my initial desire. There are times when I get a slight fire to hop on, but for the most part, I think my time on this game is kind of played out. So how do I feel about my first hour of Elsword? Honestly, a bit empty. It's not that the game is bad by any means, but the game does feel a bit hollow. The main point of the game for me is to clear the dungeons, but I don't have an objective to do so outside of leveling. It doesn't even allow me to use the items within the dungeons for real, since the game is power scaling me well past the dungeons. It's quite difficult to find a reason to stay on from where I'm currently standing unless you really enjoy destroying mobs. Love the loop of dungeons, which is mana spend into mana potion while managing your cooldowns. I will say the vibe of this game does have an air of those MMO animes about relationships with gamers, but the game doesn't have enough systems in place to encourage that kind of relationship between the players. There is no world chat, only a local chat, which is specifically for the location you're in, rather than an all-encompassing chat that isn't dividing its own players through the levels. Even while searching for dungeons in a brand new event that is focused on leveling your character, I still couldn't find anyone to queue up with me. It wasn't a really big issue, all things considered, but I think it's a shame to have your players be in their own private club, without allowing your player base to even take a peek at what it's like to chat and be in the higher levels. But who knows, maybe someone from the team will see this video and decide that a world chat is what's needed to continue fostering relationships within the game. I'm not entirely sure. But that's all for me though. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my socials linked below.